You know what, guys? Out of all the smartphones that were launched in the recent times, nothing impressed me more than the Vivo X80 Pro. No joke about this, it's really just an amazing smartphone when it comes to photography. So for today's video, we're going to check out its imaging capabilities and of course, why is it really a real contender versus the top-notch brands, versus Samsung, versus Apple, or even the other guys right now in the market. Vivo has really stepped up their game. So let's find out in this video. Hi guys, my name is Ethan Guzman and this is the Vivo X80 Pro. Yep, this smartphone, which is the latest smartphone from Vivo, which is their flagship smartphone right now. The Vivo X80 Pro takes a notch higher from their previous executions from the X series. Yep, we've heard before the X50 series with their gimbal execution. Everyone was so surprised that a smartphone could have a gimbal-like stabilization. Then moving forward with their X60 series with their partnership with Zeiss Optics, that they were able to bring a 5-axis gimbal optimization. And then with the X70 having a better optimization both software and also in hardware with better Zeiss T coating in terms of their glass, so there's no diffraction. But this time on the X80 Pro or the X80 series, they were able to take the notch up once again in terms of photography. So in this video, I'm going to give you more of an example of what I've took for the past 2 months using this smartphone. Until now, I'm astonished on the capabilities of this smartphone. Not only that Vivo retained a lot of their capabilities that they were able to perfect throughout the years, such as the in-fingerprint display technology, such as the gimbal stabilization. The partnership with Zeiss is also leveled up. In the X80 Pro, there's a lot of more features that I was really astonished that it's another take on photography. So that's why I think this is really a competitor in the flagship smartphone category. Vivo had it all in all of their advancements and innovation in one smartphone to give you the best in terms of photography in just one package. So let's check it out right now. So if you're going to ask me, Isan, what's the main difference of the Vivo X80 series versus the predecessors? It's going to be two things. One is the Vivo V1 Plus chip, image signal processing chip. Yep, it has its now dedicated chip created by Vivo to process all of the algorithms and also signal processing in terms of the everything in graphics, in terms of processing AI, and also additionally it's really more on the focus on the photography, so that the processing of the processor alongside with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor isn't really that bottleneck. As you may notice in other smartphones, even on a flagship processor, they tend to have that kind of latency and lag in terms of the shutter speed. With the Vivo X80 Pro, it's not in terms of shutter speed and also latency, it's not bad at all. It's really quick and fast in terms of taking photos. Aside from that, it can handle a lot of more data faster and better in terms of differentiating the bokeh, the foreground and the background, just separating the whole image or the subject photo from the background, and also of course handling a lot of more data such as raw processing from different kinds of bokeh adjustments and even from the optimization of AI beautification. So this technology is really investing towards that one direction of similar to how Samsung and Apple has their own image signal processing capabilities that they were able to refine in their camera capabilities. Now Vivo has that technology as well. Given their experience in terms of photography from the recent X series smartphones, they were able to have their own image signal processing chip that they always have to have that prioritization based on the Vivo's preference and also image signal processing which they want to have. For consumer preference, it's really about having that kind of crispiness in terms of bokeh, better saturation in colors, that differentiation of light against from the background and also from the subject, and most importantly is to remove a lot of noise. Next is really more on the Zeiss T coating in terms of all of the lenses here, which I will mention later. All of the lenses here are of course coated by Zeiss, which their glass has at least very minimal lens refraction. What I mean here is lens flare in terms of noise, generation of the spikes, especially if you have astigmatism. You'll notice in your eyes that you have light refractions in your sight. Here, you won't be able to encounter much of those because it really reduces a lot of noise, especially at night photography. The next is really more on the whole 4 camera sets here that you will be able to identify here on the Vivo X80 Pro. First is the dedicated GNB sensor just for the Vivo X80 Pro. It means that along with the V1 Plus chip that I mentioned earlier, it can process a lot of more range in terms of contrast, filters, and so much more in terms of modes. Additionally, in terms of having that kind of a sensor, it just doesn't detect any kind of light, color, or special kinds of ranges from the lowest HDR or high dynamic range. It also processes a lot of things, such as, like, for example, reflectivity. It detects in AI in kinds of modes such as the refraction from the sun, outdoor sources, indoor sources, even the heck from the fluorescent light. If it's cool or warm, it will be able to detect. So it means that noise levels will be detected better along with the Zeiss T coating. It's really a powerhouse when it comes to cleaning the images, much better in terms of overall performance than just using a regular sensor provided by other providers. Now, if you pair with this main sensor with Vivo's capabilities even before, like such as the OIS 5-axis gimbal, now that's really a powerhouse where you can have the experience of having a clarity of less shaky, more clarified photos with less noise and less refraction because of the Zeiss T coating. Now that's paired with a 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera, which is really a 48 megapixel ultra-wide cameras. Most of the ultra-wide cameras that you can use right now, even on a flagship smartphone, are around just 12 megapixel. But Vivo takes it a notch where an ultra-wide camera is 48 megapixel. Next is a telephoto lens, which is a 12 megapixel telephoto lens with optical image stabilization. Now, it really has that participation as well, where if you have a telephoto lens of ×2, it's able to have that kind of focus which you need in terms of photography as well. And lastly is the small square that you notice here at the bottom of the big package of the photography is really the periscope zoom. The periscope zoom is able to have an 8 megapixel sensor and also has an optical image stabilization. So you have 3 lenses with optical image stabilization paired with a high resolution ultra wide lens. All of those 4 lenses work together in terms of analyzing every subject, foreground, and also what is your focus in terms of the overall subject, whether it's night, day, indoors, or even outdoors. It can have a better analyzation based on the Vivo's algorithm. Honestly, when using a flagship smartphone, you should have that kind of confidence of using your smartphone. So I'm going to give you more of samples right now in terms of photography that I was able to take from normal mode and also night mode and also photography mode. First is really more of just a simple shot, not even on a night mode, just a regular shot during the night on a resort. So as you can see here, light bulbs are not refracting too much. That's one important thing because it's not overcrowding the overall image. You're still able to see a high dynamic range in terms inside of the photo, especially indoors or what's indoors on the resort as well. Alright, so next is some photos of my daily visitor cat during the daytime. As you can see here, even on the small follicles or even the hairline of my cat is really seen and differentiated from the background really well. Of course, taking photos of food, it won't be out of the picture or in the story. Here is a photo of a medium rare steak from Mamu. Going indoor, you can see here a photo of a Pepsi Blue. Yep, if you haven't tried one, you should try one until stocks last. Here, it's really more of the bottle was properly separated from the background of the nanoleaf. Here, even on the light diffraction from the nanoleaf itself wasn't too harsh to give that kind of separation from the background and also with the subject. In terms of night, of course, I'll give you one example. This is on the left is more on the photo of the force algorithm on the Pro mode, where I really crank the shutter speed so high that it will take a very dark photo to simulate what I saw in reality during that time. On the right side was just really more of a night photography mode taken in 2 seconds exposure mode, and you can see that between the night and day difference between the two. Even the clouds and over the night, you will be able to see blue skies. The difference is really clear. Okay, I'll give you an example where mid-range smartphones usually fail in terms of attempts here. If you see this photo taken from Tito's in San Juan, the neon pink lighting in terms of tos es posible is really bright and really shouting out loud. If you're using a mid-range smartphone here, you'll be only able to see the overall neon lighting, and the every background or foreground will be really black already. But here on the Vivo X80 Pro, since you have a higher dynamic range, you have less refractions from lights, and it was able to analyze from the lowest setting of the brightness to the highest setting brightness, and the HDR was able to compile of them all. Plus, the pixel blending technology of the Vivo X80 Pro. It was able to take care of this and giving it a very good, nice glow of pink overall, that you were able to still appreciate even the wall decor. Next are some just indoor photos. As you can see here, the efforts are just seemingly effortless in terms of night photography or indoor photography. And of course, wouldn't stop in terms of a night selfie. Alright, that's it for some of the photos that I was able to take using the X80 Pro. Now let's move on to cinematography or video. Of course, on video, you're now able to have a 21:9 video capability. Of course, you can still use 16:9. So pair with the 4K 60 frames per second along with the AI enhancements on the video, plus the gimbal stabilization of the cameras provided here, while either it is using the telephoto or the main camera, it has its own participation to give you the 5-axis stabilization when it comes to taking videos. So one very perfect example that I was able to take here is one I was taking a video of Franco, the performer. So I'll just let this play and I'll give you more an idea of how I am amazed in terms of the overall singer is separated from the background, while the audio is also improving when I zoom on the video. So I'll show you some clips. So as you can see in those videos that I was able to take on the X80 Pro, I was astonished as well on the performance on the video, on how crisp, how detailed it is. It was able to take proper detection of faces or also subjects, plus the very moment where I zoomed in, even the audio zoomed in. So those kind of details when taking videos are really the combination where you'll have that wow factor and also believable factor. Even against those lights on a live concert or on live performances, the Vivo X80 Pro was able to handle the demanding needs of my video capability, video needs or video capturing needs without any hiccups. I'm really astonished on this smartphone, given its camera capabilities of taking videos, photos, even on the Pro mode. While I'm not really more of a Pro person in terms of taking those modes, it has all of the features that can give you in terms of being an advanced player. But when you're a simple flagship smartphone user like me, in terms of using the basic features, but still maximizing all of the possible features you want or you can use, you have no worries about the Vivo X80 Pro. Now, aside from those outstanding photography and video samples that I was able to give you, of course, the Vivo X80 Pro is one of a flagship smartphone. I mean, you're using here a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor, along with 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of SSD storage with the latest UFS 3.1 storage. Of course, it has its own liquid cooling chamber as well to manage heat dissipation at the back. And look at the back, it's really gorgeous. This anti-fingerprint glass coating at the back, which is really anti-fingerprint. The AG glass coating here is really well thought of. They also included a faux leather case, which you just can simply attach and can give you a better texture of the smartphone, just in case you don't like using your smartphone in naked mode. Aside from that, we have a very gorgeous 2K display, E4 AMOLED display already, up to 120 Hz in terms of refresh rate, and it gives you a very fluid and nice color punch and accuracy that you really need on a flagship smartphone, and sets my expectations too. Additionally, it has dual stereo speakers, one on the bottom and of course on one on the top, giving you the right entertainment usage, especially when using games. You know me, I really like Genshin Impact, so playing games here on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 along with the 12 gigabytes of RAM, plus activating the multi-turbo mode in gaming optimization on the Vivo X80 Pro is really nice. I was able to play Genshin Impact on the highest settings without any worries. And of course, this isn't just your regular in terms of gaming as well. In terms of overall usage, I was able to, I should say, kind of abuse the smartphone in terms of usage. The most interesting part here will be really more on the fingerprint sensor. It's just one press and it unlocks immediately. I'll repeat that again. See, it really has that ultra fast fingerprint reaction in terms of the overall size. Plus, the size of the fingerprint is really big. It's even enough to fit 2 fingerprints at the same time if you want additional features in terms of security, especially when unlocking certain applications. I was really glad in terms of the battery capacity that versus the previous predecessor, Vivo was able to increase the capacity up to 200 milliampere. So this is now a 4,700 milliampere battery capable smartphone. It's now able to have an 80-watt flash charge capability on this smartphone to charge the 4,700 milliampere smartphone or X80 Pro. On this matter, it only took me around 30 to 40 minutes in terms of overall charging time. Overall using this smartphone gives me a lot of delight in terms of photography, in terms of gaming, overall usage, multitasking, you name it. Vivo has the right flagship smartphone to provide you, especially this 2022. So I say, with the SRP of having 59,999, the Vivo X80 Pro is really a contender smartphone, not only a smartphone, but a flagship smartphone against the ranks of Samsung and Apple in this matter, because I'm really confident based on using this smartphone compared to my usage of an iPhone and also a Galaxy S22 series. The capabilities in photography and also multitasking is no doubt is at par in those kinds of levels of brands I mentioned. So that's it. Thank you so much for checking out the explainer in terms of photography for the Vivo X80 Pro. I hope you learned some points or two in terms of the right photography and how Vivo was able to take up a notch in terms of their photography on the X80 Pro. And I'm really excited if you purchase one and tell me. Just leave a comment down below as well. What do you want to know about the Vivo X80 Pro? And I'll be more than glad to have some comments as well and answer you back to give you that right kind of impression as well. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video about the Vivo X80 Pro and its capabilities. My name is Isan de Guzman. Make sure you subscribe and check out the channel more in the future as we feature more and more tech. My name is Isan de Guzman and signing off.